What's going on, Wolfpack Nation? Welcome to another edition of the Tuffy Talk live show. You got myself, Layden Smith, Greg the Leg, Carson joining us here. We are excited to be back once again and feeling a lot better here for sure. You know, as we finally have a lot of positive momentum across the entire NC State athletics, but also too as well. You know, the weather's been great. Obviously, Greg the Leg is feeling himself rocking a new edition in his background there. So, Greg, you want to tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, it's a 2024. I don't know if it was like game issued or anything like that, but it's still, regardless, it's cool. It's an authentic Pac-9 jersey that I picked up over the weekend for the Trey Turner Victory Over Cancer Research extravaganza. So it was one of the cool items that got auctioned off. I had to tap out on a few items that got a little out of the budget. The biggest item being a signed ball by Trey, Carlos Rodon, Mike Caldwell, and Dan Plesac, 4 of the 5 retired jerseys. That thing went over $2,500 for a signed baseball. So I had to tap out on that one. And then there was a helmet with all the players' signatures. That was, I think, over like $1,500. So I got this one a little less than that. So I'm happy with my new edition. We'll get it framed up and add it to the fan cave.
Yeah, like that. All right, good deal. Well, fun. So with that being said, Wolfpack Nation, we got a fun and great show here for you today. We're actually going to be doing something a little different as we definitely still got a lot to get to here. Obviously, with Justin Gainey getting his first edition in the transfer portal, definitely talking some baseball now, which I know Greg Leg is much more has much more of an appetite to actually talk about tonight, but also too some other things as well. But one thing which I do want to jump on here first and foremost here is some hot off the press news before we're going to get into our more fun part of the show here, as NC State Wrestling comes into the portal red hot and gets a huge transfer. Jake Daly, the 2026 ACC tournament runner-up at 184 pounds, formerly from UNC, has gone across the triangle to wear the red and black, red and white. Sorry for all the the big alumni out there. Yeah, the red and white.
Official color. It counts.
Exactly. But again, obviously a NCAA tournament qualifier. Again, AC tournament runner-up here. Went 19-6 this past season, 4-1 in the ACC. Only lost was to Virginia Tech. Again, Greg, I mean, I think it's I think a solid floor wrestler there. and especially once Hayden Hidlay, Trent specifically, like I mean, that's the weight that Trent wrestled at for most of his career. Once
Yep.
Trent gets an opportunity to work with him, I mean, sky's the limit. I feel like with this guy.
Yeah, I think Trent's already paying early dividends, coming back to Raleigh, and he's going to have probably a big influence on this new transfer in, and it's nice to see him go from the dark side to the light side. So we'll take that anytime that we can get it.
Yep. Oh, 100%. So, so again, obviously love seeing that with Pop and getting into the transfer portal, which is definitely not something that Pop it's really his MO, but in today's day and age, it's something that's kind of a necessity, especially when you're trying to compete at the top level. You got to get into the transfer portal, for a couple pieces here for sure, but still rely a lot on development here too as well. So with that being said, we are going to have some fun here. We're going to play a NC State version of Family Feud. So we got AI to help us out a little bit here. Put together 5 questions, 5 rounds, and we have 6 answers, I believe, for each one of them. Each one will have number of points, and we're going to have Greg and Carson going against one another. And so how we're going to do it in terms of with the opening round is, so basically from the moment I share my screen and show the question, I'll read the question, and then basically we'll test Greg and Carson's lag here a little bit. But first hand I see raised, call it, and if it's on the board, then you get to play. We won't even ask about pass or playing, whatever. And then you answer as many as you can, but if you get 3 strikes, then the other person gets a chance to steal and get the points. So,
all right, hold on before we get started. Let's
Yep.
virtually shake our hands, Carson, like they do on the Family Feud. So we'll go ahead and virtually shake like we're at the podium. All right, go ahead, Leighton.
I love it. All right. So with that being said, our first question here: name something you'd find at Carter Finley Stadium on game day. Greg?
Mr. Wolf.
Mr. Wolf is number 4 on the board here with 26 votes. Carson, you got one to beat it?
Concessions.
Concessions is the number 1 answer with 38 votes. So Carson, are you cool with playing?
Are
you passing?
I'll pass.
Wow, Greg, he's passing. Okay. All right. So Greg, so you got number 1 is hot dogs concessions. Number 2, oh crap, I messed up. Great. Well, hey, I messed up here, folks. I accidentally unveiled the number 2 answer here, as I thought it went 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6. So boo-boo on my part here. So hey, Greg, guess what? You get, so Carson here. I'll get Carson. You get the opportunity since you want it. Do you still want to pass, even though I basically gave you the number 2 answer?
No, I won't. I don't know. This is confusing now.
What?
I'll take it. Let's go.
All right, Greg. So number 3, number 5, and number 6 are out there. So what's another answer?
I'm gonna go football players.
Football players is a good answer, but didn't quite make it. So that is strike number 1 here. Give me another answer, Greg.
Sandwich, are there no football players at a game?
Hey, after they surveyed 100 people, that just did not come up. Okay.
Well, fans.
And it's more of game day, the experience.
Okay. The Wolfpack chant.
Not quite on this list.
This is
that's strike number 2. Greg, come on, man. Dig into it a little bit, man. Hey, think more tailgating. Oh, that's a little hint there.
Okay. Grilling.
Nope. Strike 3. Carson, what you got, bud?
Cars and trucks.
That's another strike there, folks. So we did so good to start off there, but number 3, tailgate tents. Need those tailgate tents. Number 5, some cowbells.
That is no.
Hey, we let AI. That's the only one.
It thought you meant Mississippi State.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, it says right up there top, Greg. NC State.
I know what it says, but we don't have cowbells. If this is this cheerleaders?
Pack Pride flags.
Pride.
So some
Oh,
NC
geez.
State flags. So, all right. So
This is why we should not invest in AI. Say no to data centers.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. So same thing as last time. So fast get here. So once I name it, first one to raise hand gets it here. Name something NC State is academically known for. Carson, what you got?
Engineering.
Engineering is the number one answer of 45 points there. The clear number one, actually. I'll give you that hand
I
as
just
well.
want to say, when people go rewatch this on replay, you will see that my hand was up clearly first, but that's okay.
I didn't see it. I didn't see it in my venue here. Sorry, Greg.
It's all right.
All right, Carson. Are we playing?
Yeah, veterinarian or vet school.
Yep, veterinarian's number 5, and I'll make sure to click the right one this time. Veterinarian number 5. So right now you got no strikes. Number 1, engineering. Number 5, veterinary medicine. What's your next guess?
All right, I'm sticking with STEM here. Let's go biology.
Biology is not on this list. So yeah, yeah, no, I need yeah, Greg. There you go. You could be my sound effect. Carson, 1 strike. What you got next?
Let's go education.
Strike 2. Got one more.
Business.
Strike 3. Greg, would you like to steal?
Well, I don't think I have a choice but to steal. So
Yes.
I didn't go to NC State, so I'm kind of already screwed in this. Though I do know we have a history of these, so I'm gonna go ROTC.
Nope. That's another strike there, folks.
I swear, if the Hunt Library is on this thing, I'm gonna be so mad because that's what I was thinking.
No. So number 2, agriculture.
Jeez, man, duh.
Yep. Number 3, textile design. Macon.
Yep,
That's like what he got his degree in. Textile. Number 4, computer science. And then number 6, architecture design. If he said design, I would have given that too as well. Our design school is one of the top in the country. So hey, that's a little bit of now you know a little bit more.
Well, you got to make sure the points are split because I got the first one, he got the second one.
Okay. So all right. So I'll keep it. So Greg got 191 and 191, and then let's see, 9 plus. I'm doing a little math here. 173. So 191 for Greg, 173 for Carson. So I'll have to keep track of that here. So, all right. 191 for Greg, and then 173. I said for
yes.
173 for Carson. Okay. So ignore the scoreboard there at the top. So, all right, next round, and this time I'm laser focused. Now we got 1 for each, so I'm locked in. Name something a Wolfpack fan does before a big game.
I think Carson had
I
it.
saw Carson's.
Yeah,
I saw
he
Carson.
He had it.
Yep.
Tailgating.
Woo! Number 1 answer. 44 points. Let's go. All right, Carson, you passing or playing?
Playing Sing the Fight Song.
That's a good one. Let me double check here. Make sure. You know, it's funny. You know what? I don't like 2 of these answers are kind of duplicated here. So I'm going to go in and say, you know what, Carson, you're right. Number 3, I'm going to give that one to you. So keep going, Carson. What you got next?
Sing the national anthem.
Can't give you that one, bud. Strike number 1 here. What's your next guess?
Watch the team run out of the tunnel.
Strike 2.
Get concessions.
There we go. I'll give you that. buy game day snacks. That's number 6 on the list. So right now, number 1, tailgate. Number 3, I'm going to put that as sing the fight song. Number 6, buy game day snacks. What's your next guess?
Before a game.
Yeah, for a big game. And I'll give a little bit of a hint. Think more big football game. Not saying it's necessarily around football, but just like
Walk of
it could
Champions.
be- No, that's a little too specific there. So I'm gonna have to give an X on that. So that's 3 strikes. Greg, what you got, bud?
I'm. All right. I got one of 2 things.
Okay.
I'm gonna go sing the fight song.
Greg, Cars. That's number technical. That's I replaced
okay.
that as number 3. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
How about go?
Pick another guess.
How about go throw up the wolves?
Nope, not quite there. Very close though. But not quite. Here, I'll show you what I'm talking here. So it's so that's 61 points for Carson, which would put him at 234. Number 2 was Paint Face Red and White. So kind of, if I was to put on your NC State or whatever, I would probably give him that. But even though I did that for number 3, number 4, Trash Talk UNC fans, right? I mean, got to Trash Talk UNC fans. Doesn't even matter if you're playing them or not. If you're playing Vanderbilt, it don't matter. You're Trash Talking UNC fans on game day. And then number 5, you got to check the weather, right? I mean, especially for a big football game, got to check the weather here. So,
Fair.
All right, Carson. So you're at 234, my friend, heading into round number 4. So here we go, folks. Let's jump into it. Number 4, name something on NC State's campus that students love, and think like, yep. Greg, I saw you first. What you got?
It was Greg. Yeah.
The bell tower.
Mm-hmm. The bell tower. That is on there at number 5.
Ooh, wow.
Carson, what you got?
Carmichael Gym.
Nope, not on this list. So,
Bro,
Greg,
this
you
ain't
passing or
accurate.
playing?
This is not accurate.
Greg, what you got? You want to pass or play?
I'll play.
All right. What you got?
How about the Hunt Library?
So close. That is going to be an X, though.
Okay.
All right, but you're close. I'll give you a hint on that. So strike 1.
How about Tally Student Union?
Yep, that's number 2 at 27 votes there. So Tally number 2, bell tower number 5. What's your next guess, Greg?
Let's go Reynolds.
Yeah, Reynolds is on campus.
Yep, it should be on here. It should be on here, but it's not. So strike 2.
Okay.
Greg, one more
All
guess, bud. You got 2 strikes.
Uh,
Carson with a chance to steal.
How about the Brickyard or the bricks in general?
That is the number 1 answer. The Brickyard is number 1, 35 votes. So here per AI. So all right, keep going, Greg. What you got?
Let's see what else. All right, I'm just gonna go with this one because I know I like it, but I'm not a student. So how about Howling Cow ice cream?
So I'll give you a hint. I'll give you
that's
another
3
chance.
strikes.
Okay. Well, and so okay. So fair enough. So I appreciate that, Greg, being a man of true honor here. You're a good man, Carson. So yeah. So the hint I was gonna give. So think more places. Like places on NC State's campus. So Carson, what's your chance to steal here, bud?
Give me Miller Field.
Heck no. That's not on here. No. Nope. So that is 69 points.
It's like Harrison Hall. Isn't that a thing or something like that?
No.
Or what was that round
Yeah.
building back in the day?
Yeah, it was Harrelson.
Harrelson, but it
Harrelson.
doesn't exist anymore.
I know, but it could still be a thing. I don't know.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
do we got?
All
I
right.
won the
So
round, that's
hold
what
on.
it
I'm updating scores. So we're at 260 for Greg, 234 for Carson. So number 3 is the Free Expression Tunnel.
Yeah.
That's good.
Number 4, DH Hill Library, Greg.
Yeah.
I said you were close.
Yeah, I don't know that
DH
one.
Hill Library.
Again, wasn't a student.
Number 6, Court of Carolina.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, I should have guessed that one.
I don't even know what
Okay,
that is. What is that? What is that? I have no idea.
Oh, it's this massive courtyard right next to the bell tower. It's sort of in it's so there's Tompkins Hall, Caldwell, and Winston, which is like right next to the bell tower.
Okay.
And like you have Hillsborough Street,
Mm-hmm.
the halls, and then on the other side you have the Court of Carolinas.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, love it.
Well, some
All right.
Some things were definitely missed by AI on this thing.
Yeah, but hey, you got me. I think of all the ones so far, this is one that's definitely not.
Yeah, I don't know how I forgot about
sure.
the free expression tunnel.
Yeah,
That was
it's not outlandish.
So okay,
All
hold on.
right.
So before we move on to the next one, is that library like should that library be over Hunt?
It's tough. I feel like Carson. It depends. Like DHL library's been there forever. It's also too on main campus. It's attached to the Brickyard. So there's a lot of those pieces to it.
Gotcha.
But
and also
library
DHL is right next to the atrium, so that's why it's so popular right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Which, for those that don't know, the atrium is, Carson.
It's this massive food court right next to the library. They got Chick-fil-A there, so enough said.
Enough said. But with that being said, I mean, obviously, Hunt Library with the technology in it, with just everything with it. If you haven't been to Hunt Library, it is insane. You got to go for sure. So, but it's in the Centennial campus, which is separate from main campus. So, DHL definitely fits with this list. The Brickyard, the Student Union, the Free Expression Tunnel, Court of Carolina Bell Tower. It's like the main guns. Yeah, main guns.
Except they left out Carmichael Gym. That is not accurate at all.
It's a fake list. Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. All right. So with that being said, for round number 5, we are so close here. We're gonna do one shot. All right. First hand gets first chance. If you get the number 1 answer, you win it automatically. But if you don't get the number 1 answer, the other person gets an opportunity to say, and whoever gets the highest one that they picked wins it all. We're going to do it that way, folks. All right. So for our last round here, our last question, keep in mind that you're 260 for Greg, 234 for Carson here. So, but with that being said, name something you see at an NC State basketball arena. Greg.
Let's go with I'll go Mr. Wolf again.
That's pretty good. Number 2, Mr. Wolf. Number 2. Carson, you got the number 1 answer in you, bud?
Let's go with the giant wolf logo on the basketball court.
That is a good one. But nope, that is not on here. Number 1 was the student section.
Okay.
So
yeah, that's good.
Yeah, again. Yeah, it's a pretty good one here. So with that being said, Greg, congratulations. You won all the money. You won $10,000. You got to look into it. So applause for you, Greg. Great. But hopefully y'all enjoyed it, and Carson, better luck next time. So with that said, let's jump into the discussion here, folks. So first and foremost, the thumbnail, the big news of today about 4 hours ago, the commitment of Christian Hammond here, point guard from Santa Clara, ranked top 60 in the transfer portal by most services out there. And again, this is the first blood for new head coach Justin Gainey here. So Carson, when the news broke, first of all, how much of a shock was it for you? Were you shocked at the news, and do you feel like also too that a player with Hammond's style, with his archetype, could fit a Justin Gainey system?
Yeah, no, I wasn't shocked at all. I was pretty excited. Santa Clara was a 10 seed in the tournament this year, played a really close game against Kentucky, and Hammond was the top guy on that team. He's 6'4", was a sophomore. He averaged 15.6 points a game, which was the highest on his team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and Greg, obviously the biggest, I think, piece when it comes to this Christian Hammond news is the tie to a former NC State men's basketball coach, and Herb Sendek, who's been the head coach of Santa Clara for a few years now. Do you think that I mean, how much do you think it helped the tie with Herb Sendek to Justin Gainey, in NC State?
I don't think it hurt, to be honest with you. I think that
Heck no.
Hammond could have or could not have. I don't know, like what the relationship was. Like talk to Sendek about Gainey, as like kind of, hey, is this potentially a good fit for me? Just don't know what those conversations are, but I would assume that everything would have been positive had he gone back and talked to Sendek. But again, like I said, I don't know what kind of terms he left on. It sounds like by all situations that that Hammond's just looking for a bigger opportunity and a bigger league and bigger payday. So I don't probably think anything was a ride there necessarily with the coach, but yeah, I think it's it definitely helps for sure.
Yeah. Well, first of all, two comments here that came into which I couldn't even see because I was keeping an eye on the answer key here. Why saying if you read this aloud, I'll super chat. Hey, this is the challenge. The
Welcome.
challenge is met. Yeah, welcome. But also too, see even Anthony as well. Even got the free expression tunnel. Carson and Greg. Come on, so
look, it's not as easy when you're on the spot, like thinking of things.
100% agree.
Especially with after that first category and AI was like all over the place. So I don't speak
True.
AI.
True.
But that one was pretty basic for sure.
Yeah. But, one other thing as well, too, which I think really stood out for me when looking at Christian's, stats and performance is one performance in particular. I mean, in the WCC tournament final versus Gonzaga, he scored 24 points. So, I mean, love to see that. A big game versus a big opponent. And he stepped up, scored you 24 points for your team, which again is very impressive for sure. We definitely need that. But that kind of leads me to the next question here, Carson, to this is, there's definitely still sounds like some rumblings around Paul McNeil for sure. Even though he technically put his name in the portal, he's still definitely very involved. And again, like everything that we talked about when it comes to the relationship that Paul McNeil had with Justin Gainey, recruiting him, originally, is still 100% there. And also too, because that NC State is, let's say is going to do a lot of what it takes to try and keep Paul McNeil around here. So, I mean, I kind of look at even Christian Hammond's, stats and say, again, 2.5 assists per game. So not really a big distributor kind of guard. So does that kind of make you sway at all of, is this maybe a little bit of, a concern at all that, Christian Hammond style, again, going back to matching up with a potential return of Paul McNeil?
Yeah, I think it's a little concerned, but at the same time, I don't think it's that deep, especially considering that McNeil is already in the portal. He's already testing out the waters of several other teams. And so I think this will play a factor, but not to the extent that some fans may think.
Yeah. Well, because Greg, obviously, if somebody like Paul, it's I don't know. I can make the case both ways, saying, I think having a guard that is a true threat to score and, from the three, from mid range, going to the basket, definitely can take some attention off Paul for sure. But I would definitely like a little bit more of, from a statistical perspective, showing of his ability to, pass the ball and get the guys into position to score as well here. So what's your kind of take on that, Greg?
Yeah, for me, Hammond shoots around 40% from 3-point land, which is big. So if you don't, now granted, it's not at the volume of Paul McNeil, but it is a position where regardless whether McNeil comes back or not, that's a position of need as far as a shooter, right? And depending on what else you get to pair with Hammond, will he be a primary ball handler? Will be a secondary handler? There's rumors out there that we may go after the Tennessee kid, Brownwell. I think it's Brownwell is his name. Who's another point guard type player. Again, would he be a primary point guard or off too? So whatever you end up bringing in, you want guys that can kind of slide over and play multiple positions depending on what you end up with. Obviously, being this is the first guy we've gotten, we still have to get more folks. And then how long does the Paul McNeil thing play out? Does it? Because at some point you got to fill a roster out, and so if he's going to hang around in the draft process for a while, I think that's another like 2 or 3 weeks, I believe that it goes on for. In 2 or 3 weeks, there's going to be a lot of portal movement, and then if he does withdraw, all right, do we still have money stashed away like we did last year to get gosh dang it, the season's already over and I'm already forgetting
Darian Williams,
thank you.
Yeah.
So you got to be smart while you're playing this. Like, are you playing the long game or are you playing the short game?
Yep. No, well, and I think one of the funniest things to me over the last couple of weeks is a lot of NC State fans kind of hitting the panic button so daggum early when it comes to Gainey. Obviously taking his time, from I think really doing a good job of picking the right shots when it comes to picking assistant coaches. Specifically, again, I mean, you're getting 3 assistants with SEC experience, and you're getting a guy that spent the last 16 years as a head coach for North Florida, Matt Driscoll. So
and one
I
of
thought
those assistants was a national champion. Like he won a national championship with Baylor. Like,
so I mean,
I think the problem is we haven't made a splash, if you will, right? Like nothing sexy, right? Nothing right. To like go, oh, like yes, like again, you like it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. So like let it all play out. And again, it's going to be a little different. This is his first year, right? And so, unlike the previous head coach, again, we're not mentioning that clown's name again, but he had coaching experience, right? Like you knew what to expect from him. Like you knew what his style was. Gainey has not established that identity yet as a head coach. So there's going to be people out there that are like, okay, some people are going to be a wait and see approach as far as players in the portal, because again, they don't maybe not know a lot about him or his coaching philosophy. And I think there's going to be some play in that. And we may have to overpay for somebody if there's someone that we really want to get, because I think that will be a thing that people will take pause as far as players maybe in the portal.
Yeah, Carson. I mean, I think that you look at Wade's transfer portal class last year, and it was definitely a lot of just like Greg said, like those like sexy names, with Darian Williams, first team, all conference, Jerry Dang, a 6'9" guy that can shoot 3, getting Matt Abel, a 5-star recruit,
Terrence
Lubin from UNC, Terrence Arsenault from Houston, like exactly
in the championship game.
Exactly. So like these big, sexy names here, but Hammond, I think is again, because just like Greg said, like we don't really know a lot about what Gainey is going for, but like if Hammond's the kind of recruit that generally Justin Gainey is going to get, somebody that's not the sexy name, but somebody who is a proven a proven player that can play at a big level in big games, but also too brings you a lot of versatility as well. I just, for me, I and I think it's a guy that has proved from watching tape that it's. I see something different here. If it's about the less sexy and more of like finding those diamonds in the rough a little bit here, because it definitely does seem like more than likely that we're not going to be Louisville this year where you spend $9 million on 2 players. I'm going to put money saying that that's not going to be Justin Gainey's results once the transfer portal is over here. Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah. I think the other part of the problem too, West Coast guy, your casual average fan is not watching WCC basketball. They're not staying up till midnight watching, Santa Clara versus St. Mary or San Francisco State or, some kind of, whatever that is. But I mean, it's a good conference. I mean, got Gonzaga, St. Mary, Santa Clara, like those three, there's 3. It's a 3-bid league, which is good, really good for a mid-major. And I just think he's just going to come in here and he's going to be a steady guy. He's going to give you, 14 to 16 points a game, play clean defense. Just going to do all the things right, and he's going to put your team in a position to be in a lot of ball games. And I'm okay. I don't need flash. I don't need glitz. Those type of players typically are going to cost more. And when you have a budget of around $9 to $11 million, you have to be smart. And then again, like I said, do you keep a little bit under the mattress for Paul McNeil if he decides to come back? Because you might need that money on a rainy day.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so I think really for me and Carson, I'm interested in your take on this, and then we'll transition here. But it's just a little bit of just like listen, like there is at this point, you're going to give Gainey as much rope as he needs it. Then he knows what the job is. He knows what it takes to get it done. And he obviously has the fire in his belly to do a great job at it. So at the end of the day, it's like Greg mentions all the time. We don't know what's going on behind those closed doors. We don't know what conversations are happening. But also, too, again, the transfer portal it's chaos. It is the definition of chaos. There's thousands of players who are in the portal. I can't even imagine what the staff is doing in terms of, watching film, evaluating all these different players, trying to figure out how we're going to piece this whole thing together here. So again, it's just like, listen, I get it. Like, you don't want to miss out on an opportunity to get a guy, but also too, as well, is like, listen, like there's going to be leftovers, quote unquote, that are going to be diamonds in the rough here. Like that's 100% going to exist out there.
Yeah. I think in this day and age, you basically said it. It's going to be not necessarily more difficult, but it's definitely going to have its challenges recruiting in the portal if you've never been a head coach before, particularly if you're at the Power 5 or Power 4, whatever level, right? I think if you're at a G5 level, it might be a bit easier just because you'll have, or not easier from the sense of like getting good talent, but more so the volume of players. If you're recruiting at the Power 5 level, players are going to be a lot more picky with what they choose.
Yeah, true. It's a good point. So again, time will tell here for sure, especially like with Cole Kluwer as well, for example, where it's kind of reading the tea leaves that you saw. There was a crystal ball of prediction of him going to Virginia. Again, it's just got to give Gainey opportunity here. He's still well within only the first couple weeks here of him being truly the head coach at NC State's here. So time will tell, especially I think once you get that second, third piece in place, you can start to figure out what this team is going to look like here. Go ahead, Greg. And we'll wrap,
IPS.
We'll here.
Yeah, IPS had something on Kluwer. I don't really want to get into the details since they had it behind their paywall, but it sounds like there's some going back and forth. It did sound like Virginia made an offer that was more than what State had initiated. Whether or not State would be willing to match that, that'll be something to kind of keep an eye on. But as far as that, I probably don't want to say anything else because, again, it is behind their paywall.
Good deal. Well, yeah, no, and so obviously too, if you haven't already invested and joined inside Pack Sports, Pack Pride, the Wolfpack, or wherever you want to choose, it's definitely worth a couple dollars right now because there is so much news that's going on right now. It's ridiculous. So with that being said, Carson, while we still have you for another 15 minutes, I want to talk some football here as NCAA football just wrapped up here, spring practice here. So I want to ask your thoughts here on one question here, because I don't know if we really talked about this before, but what's your thoughts of not having spring games? I know that, there's probably some opinions on that here, but I don't know. I'm kind of curious your thoughts here on not having a NC State football spring game.
I have mixed feelings on it. On one end, the spring game was really good at keeping the hype going into the summer. In the past we would have the spring game and that would really elevate fans' excitement for the upcoming season. And now it just feels like the spring, just goes by. You're not really thinking about football at all. Probably the main football you're thinking about at all is probably the NFL draft.
True.
And yeah, that's a bit disappointing, but on the other hand, if this is all, we don't know everything that's going on behind the scenes. If the coaches think that it's unnecessary, and that it can only hurt the team, like why would you want to do that?
Yeah. So Greg, I kind of want to ask you a more specific question too. Is I think a little bit has to do with, I think from a fan perspective, like the big benefit of a spring game is, in the days before the transfer portal, is that you're more of going as a fan to see how guys are developing, see like who's like playing with the ones, how are they looking, who's standing out, things like that. But now with the transfer portal, now there's so many new faces, there's just so much that's unknown for a fan. So like, I think as an NC fan, you're just going just to see NC State football play a game. But I mean, I think it just kind of has lost a lot of its pizzazz. And so, I think that probably has a little bit to do with it. But Greg, what's your thoughts on not having a spring game right now?
Yeah, for me, I know why they kind of had started that whole thing, right, with the spring transfer portal. Like they didn't want to like expose people to tape and, and people like coming scouting and all of that good stuff.
Yeah.
But now that that's like not a thing anymore, like there's no more spring transfer portal. Like, why wouldn't you not bring it back? I feel like that could be an opportunity where you could do some charity work or raise some funds for NIL. So for me, that's kind of a missed opportunity. But again, I don't feel like Coach Doran's really he could care less about those type of things. But to your point, like I would like it just to kind of, like you said, see who's running where, who's on what team. Just kind of learning some of the new players like last year. And I was, had the privilege of, because of being a donor to Wolfpack, like I got invited out to a spring practice and, basically that kind of served as my spring game. And at the time, it sucks to bring this name up, but like Teddy Hoffman was a guy that was just showing out and showing off. You're like, oh, like this guy could actually do something this year. And then obviously we saw him do that. And unfortunately we won't see that this fall, but I think that there's still opportunities for folks to get out there again, like I said, using Wolfpack NIL. But I enjoyed it, like going out and do a little tailgate, just kind of hanging out, enjoying some nice weather. But yeah, I don't think the coaches are really into it. I think they're very much more judicious and running things because again, you saw this past weekend where Noah Rogers got hurt at Alabama, and again that can happen in a drill, but I think you want to try to limit the amount of contact these guys have, and but yeah, no, I definitely miss it. It was something that I enjoyed getting out to if I could.
Yeah. So go ahead, Carson.
I just don't think the coaches really care much. They don't have it much on their priority list.
Nope.
And so they're like, why bother at this point?
Only thing I actually, the biggest thing I miss is I wish they would bring back the alumni game. That was actually fun. I know it didn't have a lot of turnout, but watching the 2 or 3 in person that happened, watching Owen Spencer out there playing again, was fun, and so just would be cool to see that once again. But,
but that's a point. I mean, that's a good, like, again, you can make it like a festival, if you will, and do, charge $10 a head, and that goes to NIL. That's, to me, it's easy money. Even if you only get 5,000 people out there at $10, like that's still good money. Like I don't know. Again, I don't think that the coaches really care about that kind of stuff. It doesn't move the needle for them. It doesn't push their agenda anymore or any less. So like it just doesn't. Let's be real. Like even in the good years, I mean, what we were getting out there, maybe 4,000 or 5,000 people. Like it wasn't, it wasn't a big deal. But I don't know. Like there's still, I don't know. And in today's, and then here's the other thing. Even if you didn't want to do that, like if you give something free to the fans, to your point, get them kind of hyped up, ready, because right now it's been like, I think we've had like 2 maybe 3 Coach Dorn availabilities during the whole practice session. Like, there's not a lot of word coming out, not a lot of hype coming out. Not like we have no idea what's going on. And again, I don't
Not
think it's
really.
necessarily, like, I don't think the coaches care about that kind of stuff as a whole. Like, they have a team to get ready for the season, figure out what they're doing. And really, it only matters when you have a quarterback thing, right? Because, like, that's what drives conversation for the most part is the quarterback. Let's be real. And so when you have a quarterback entering his 3rd year, there's no competition, there's nothing. So it's just status quo as far as people are concerned in the Murphy Center.
Just stay healthy.
Yeah.
Just like stay healthy,
Stay
CJ.
healthy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, well, and also too as well, I think that, I mean, there's some positives coming out, during Dorn's press conference. There was 2 players in particular that he called out, and Harvey Dyson from the linebacker from Tulane, and then Raul Popo Aguirre, how would you say his last name? Senior linebacker transfer from Miami, who Dorn called very mature player, very experienced here. So I kind of want to ask you, Carson. I mean, I feel like that this roster for sure definitely has a lot of, I think, potentially untapped potential here. I think this roster could really go, from one extreme to the other. Like, it could be one of Dorn's best rosters he's ever had. It could be really rough, to say the least, if those pieces don't come together here. But again, just like Greg said, we just don't really know because we haven't seen or really heard much from practice at all. But also too, only time will tell here. But I mean, Carson, kind of reacting here, hearing the potential, especially now that you're really beefed up in the portal on the defensive side. You got a couple of offensive weapons to help CJ here, and you retain CJ. That's a humongous win, if not the biggest win of the entire transfer portal season. So, initial thoughts here, Carson.
Yeah. Going off of what you said, I think the biggest win is retaining CJ. I mean, if you look at every year under Coach Dorn, where we have the returning quarterback from the previous year, we win at least 7 games. And I know that's pretty low bar to set. But that's what we did last year, and with CJ coming back, who knows? But let me tell you something. CJ was not the reason we lost 5 games last year.
Not the reason. I would say Miami was a little bit of a struggle game for him. But at the end of the day, how talented he is really what all that matters. Then last season, but then now you're returning in a very talented and experienced quarterback. I mean, again, this is a guy that Marquise Williams, former UNC quarterback, 2 years ago when we originally played him, said, like, I don't think it's a question of, how good can he be? It's, can NC State hold on to him? So even a famous UNC quarterback was even agreeing, like, yeah, this dude is super talented, and there's a lot of talks of, again, like, this is a guy that has the talent and the potential to be a first round quarterback. Like, if he balls out this season, that's 100% on the table for him. His height, his arm, his scramble ability, kind of the big question, I feel like, Carson, again, we'll talk more about this as we get closer to football season here, but what's the one thing, Carson, you feel like that you hope CJ focuses on improving this upcoming season?
One thing he focuses on improving, I would say, not letting mistakes get in his head. Because if you look at games from last year, the big one, I think it was probably the Duke game and the Miami game, where CJ would make one bad throw, it gets intercepted, and then you could see it in the way that he plays. He was not the same player after that play for the rest of the game.
That's fair.
And I think that's a mindset thing. But I think that'll help with him naturally as he matures in the game, because this is his 3rd year. That's I think a big thing that comes to my mind.
Yeah. Greg, would you go with a different answer to that question?
No, probably not. Like, we talking about the biggest concern? Is that what we're talking about? Like,
Yeah, biggest point of emphasis for CJ going into the season, like biggest area of improvement you hope to see.
Yeah, just honestly, for me, it's taking healthy risks, pushing the ball down the field a little bit. I thought at times we were more conservative.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like for me, and I'll use this because this has kind of been a point of emphasis for the baseball team. It's like trying to string like multiple hits, multiple hits, multiple hits, multiple hits. Like if you're a little bit more explosive, you don't need 20 plays to get down to the field and score a touchdown or kick a field goal or whatever. Like I would like a little bit more of explosiveness. But again, like I said, taking healthy risk, like throwing it downfield where only your guy can catch it, right? Like throw it to to the boundary. Like instead of throwing it over the middle where, it's like a center fielder going to make a play. I know when you give your analogies, like you like to use hockey, I like to use baseball, but just kind of putting it out there to where, like, look, either you get a pass interference, you get an incompletion, or you get a catch, like where you're not really putting your team at risk. So I would like a little bit more of that. Like, I don't know how explosive we're going to be. I don't know, again, and I don't know if this offense is built for, like I said, 12, 14, 15 plays, scoring a touchdown. So I would like for us to be a little bit more aggressive, but again, picking your spots, not just being reckless.
Yeah. No, I think that really for this offense, and again, really the whole team in general, because like offense, yes, you are returning CJ Bailey, you are returning Duke Scott. That's great. But you have a lot of new pieces. Now there is definitely, I think, a good mix of possession receiver versus more of your speedster. But also too, as well, there's a lot of familiarity. Obviously, JoJo Trader, his familiarity with CJ, I'm sure is going to play a big dividend here. So, but again, it's still a lot of, we won't really know much until game one in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil versus Virginia, in terms of really how the team's going to look. And really on the defensive side, again, a lot of new pieces there as well that we just don't really know a lot about. But with that being said, I mean, like the biggest thing which I love about this team is that this is a team that the players you're getting are players that have proven ability. Like that they're going to produce in some kind of aspect for you, but it's just a matter of who can step out and be the guy, who can step out and be that playmaker in the linebacking crew on the defensive side, who can be that wide receiver one for CJ this year. That's going to be the big question here. And is it a changing guy? I hope not. Honestly, I hope one of the biggest things I hope this year for the offense is get you a wide receiver one, like get you that guy who is your guy. Last year it was just a lot of, it could be Noah, it could be Wesley, it Terrell. Could be Teddy, it could be Terrell. Yeah, but like that, just like not saying like, you only have one guy to throw to, but just who's the guy that is like, the guy that you strategize around. Like you make a play just to get this guy one-on-one kind of deal and let CJ and him just have unmatched, chemistry. That's honestly one thing I think is a little bit plaguing for this season here. But I did mention it here, tease a little bit at it, Greg, because I know you finally got your tickets here for Rio de Janeiro, man. Brazil. It's gonna be crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I just saying it out loud. I mean, it's. I mean, you're only a couple months away here, bud, from the game, man. It's coming up quick here.
Just over 4 months.
So the closer you get to it here, Greg, from a football standpoint, do you concern at all that it could serve as a little bit of a distraction? I mean, being that you're for the team, that you're traveling, from one continent to another, you're playing an ACC opponent. Like that's another thing too. It's just like, it's kind of like, it's a mind game for sure. You're playing an ACC opponent, but you're playing them in a different continent altogether.
Different time zone, everything.
Virginia will be facing the exact same thing though.
Absolutely.
It's a good point. Right.
Yeah. So for anyone that didn't know, like the game time has not been officially announced from anything that I know, but on my game ticket, it tells me that game is going to be a 9:00 Brazil time. So that will be an 8:00 East Coast time. So 8 p.m. will be kickoff for people in Raleigh.
And so do the math for me. So 9 a.m.
No,
in
PM.
Brazil?
No, it's only
PM.
there's only a difference. Yeah, there's only 1 hour.
They're an hour ahead.
Correct.
Okay. See,
So it's
learn
going to
something
be
every day.
8 p.m. game. Yep. So it'll be an 8 p.m. game for us on the East
Prime
Coast.
time.
And yeah, but 9 o'clock local, like, that's a late ass game. That game will not be over before midnight.
Oh, heck no.
Yeah. No, I know I'm super excited. We got everything pretty much locked in. I just got 2 more things to do. Both important pieces to the trip, but we'll get those knocked out here in the next month or so. No, I can't. I look, I think it's going to be fun for fans that are traveling down to it. I don't know how much fun it's going to be for the teams themselves. It's going to be a business trip. I don't see them, hanging out on Copacabana Beach and drinking Mai Tais and doing all that stuff. I mean, I'm sure they'll get a little bit of culture while they're there, but I mean, they are going down for a game, and obviously we'll talk about this more when we get closer. But yeah, no, I think it'll be fun. I know we're looking forward to it. It'll be game 55 in a row for me, which is incredible. Like, that's a kind of a, as I've going through this journey of consecutive games, there's definitely games that will stick out in my mind, and this will definitely be one of them, because one, it's 55, which is a good number to kind of remember, and it's Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, should be a lot of fun. I just hope that, like you said, like, this team is going to be ready and focused, and it's so weird because it's game 1 and you don't know really what to expect, how clean it's going to be, with all the other things that have to go on to this trip. It's going to make for an interesting actual football game.
When is the last time we've opened the season against an ACC team?
It would probably have to be like back in like long time ago. I don't know if we ever, I can't remember us doing an opening game against ACC. And I say that
a Brian years, if not earlier.
Probably earlier.
I think it was
typically
earlier,
typically it's out of conference. You start that out of conference schedule. Yeah, I don't know. I will take that up and try to figure that out. But yeah, that's a good point, Carson.
So Carson, one more question. I'll let you go. I know you need to head out of here, but how much of a swing to the season do you? Because how much of a swing do you think this opening game is going to be for the NC State football season here? How big of a difference is it going to be between a win and a loss?
Oh, I think it's going to be really big. If you look at our last 4, 5 seasons, the ACC opener in particular gives a big indicator of how the season is going to go. Last year, the ACC opener was Wake, and it was very, very back and forth, and then we pulled out in the fourth quarter against, a team that we had more talent than, but just very kind of game for most of it, and in return was up and down ACC season. And then 2 years ago, just get blown out by Clemson, and then you finish ACC season with a losing record. And then in 23, you have the win against Virginia in Charlottesville with the game-winning field goal, and you go 6-2 in the ACC. 21, the win against Clemson, and you go 6-2 in the ACC. But 22, you lose against Clemson, and you only go 500 in the ACC. So the first conference game is always a big indicator of how the season is going to go.
Yeah. Greg, anything you would add to that? Oh, yeah. Greg is doing some intel as we speak here.
Yeah.
So,
it's funny. I totally forgot. Like, it was, interesting. So COVID, we opened the season against the ACC because we only played an ACC schedule to begin the season. Then we snuck in Liberty. But before that, so that was against Wake. Ironically, the last time before that was 2016, also against Wake. And we won 1 and lost 1. So there you go. Back to the question. I think it's important. One, you have to think about like a win or a loss. That's a long plane ride back to Raleigh, and you want that win on it's about a 12. I'm assuming they're going to fly, charter. Well, I know they're going to fly charter, and I think it's about a 10 or 11-hour flight, maybe 12-hour flight. That's double what you would be flying from Cal and back. So think about it in those terms. And so yeah, thanks, Jonathan. That's a long time to stew on a loss to get back to Raleigh. But yeah, it's a big thing. I think we have like Richmond after that, I believe, or I can't remember who it was, but
I think it's a bye and then Richmond.
You're right, it is a bye, Carson. You're 100% right. Which is nice because my body's gonna need it. But but yeah, I think it's huge. Thankfully you do have a bye. But again, even to that point, Carson, you don't want to stew on a loss for 2 weeks, before you get back on a field.
I mean, look at what happened to Florida State in 24. They lost that game to Georgia Tech.
True story.
And had that bye week and then only won 2 games in 24.
Yeah, didn't they lose like the next week too, like to Boston College?
Boston College, and then they lost to Memphis.
Yeah. Ugh.
No.
Yeah.
I watch a couple of the games from that football team specifically just for kicks and giggles here. It's good times for sure. Good times. So with that being said, Carson, I'll let you go, but I appreciate you, man, and have a great rest of your week. So
yeah, y'all too.
Yeah, buddy.
So with that being said, Greg, unless you have any other big pieces here for football here, I'm ready to talk some baseball. You ready to talk some baseball?
Yeah, man. Let's do it.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it. Yeah. So in-state baseball coming off of a pretty successful week, win versus UNCW, and then winning 2 out of 3 against Duke. So 3-1 record. You're pretty happy with that. Coming off of the week, the last couple of weeks we've had, and then adding in the Duden news to it as well, definitely rough. So, let's start right there, Greg. I mean, going off a rough stretch, even before the Duden news, and then you lose Duden for the rest of the season.
Well, hold on, back up. We did come off the sweep of Notre Dame before that. So we had been, we won 6 out of the last 7 after losing 7.
That's true. That's true.
Come on now. We got to keep it real. We don't want to
keep
get
it real.
checked.
That's true. But with that being said, so the point being of so Duden, you lose him for the season, and then the team bounces back and has 2 huge wins over Duke. So how much does it really say about the culture and the locker room? To put together 2 dominant wins over a really solid Duke baseball team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you had the guys kind of rally around Duden. Just if I could just talk about him for a second, I think that's important because this is a guy that has elite stuff. I know Marone's the kind of the guy that leads the team with the Friday starts, but Duden or Marone could be that guy. A guy that he came to state in a very coveted pitching class with Marone and Coop and some other guys that they've had opportunities to move on. They've been courted by much larger teams and bigger leagues, if you will. And both Marone and Duden are very loyal to a T. Both team oriented guys that just believe in their guys, believe in finishing what they started. So you can't say enough about him and his character. Totally an NC State guy. It's a tough loss. Emotional leader. You see, he's probably like when you watch pitchers from NC State, he's probably got, I would say, the most emotion. He's a very fiery guy. So yeah, big. It's a big loss on the field. But there's plenty of pitchers that can kind of pick up the slack. But yeah, it's tough, man. I was really gutted when I got the news on Thursday. Just like, damn, it can't be possible. A guy that is going to be, is still going to be drafted very high. We'll lose probably a round or 2. But whoever ends up getting him is going to get a freaking steal. A kid that's going to work his ass off. but yeah, it's tough. These guys, a lot of wear and tear on arms. Oh, and that's the other thing I want to talk about. Again, I'm going to get long-winded on this, Leighton, and I apologize. But, there was some stuff out there about the staff overusing him. And from
Go on
what
the
I know,
soapbox, Greg. Go on that soapbox.
Yeah, I know.
Go on the
I
soapbox.
apologize. It just frustrates me. Like, I know at the end of the day, we're all State fans here. And I think we do ourselves a disservice. Again, there's times you can criticize this coaching staff, that moves they make, in-game decisions that they decide to go with. This was not one of them. They did not tear Jacob Duden's arm off of his ligament, like, the elbow off the ligament. But it's just it's unfortunate, and and again, if anyone follows me on Twitter, I kind of laid it all out. From what I was told, if it wasn't the Saturday he did it, it could have been this past Saturday. It could have been two Saturdays from now. It wasn't a matter of if, it was a matter of when, and it didn't happen because he threw 16 pitches over 100 on Saturday. This is years and years of wear. It's like having a classic car, but you got to get a new transmission every now and then, right? Like the body is still good, but you got to give it a new engine, and that elbow is the engine of a pitcher. And so they're going to get it cleaned up for him. They'll get him ready. He'll go through everything, be with the team. But yeah, just hate it for him that he couldn't finish what he started. And honestly, from what I know, that's what he's the most upset about. It's not upset that he got injured. He understands that's going to happen when you're playing ball, that injuries are part of it. The fact that what he's mad about is he can't finish it with his boys, that he's fought so hard over the last 3 years to be with. And because this was always the year that it not to say they still can't, right? But this was kind of always the year that they had penciled that they could get back to Omaha.
Right.
And so for him, like, ending his career the way he did, and look, he ended it on a bang. I mean, he pitched a hell of a game, 7 2/3. That was the game we talked about, the bullpen kind of, falling apart a little bit on him and didn't get him the win. You look at Ryan Marone, who's 6-1. He's had some good luck. He had some runs scored for him. Duden just kind of didn't have those things. There was multiple games, I think at least 2, maybe 3 games that he left with leads. In fact, I know it was 3 games. It was FSU, Georgia Tech, and Notre Dame. When he left the game, they were up, and he was in line for a win, and we couldn't close it out for him. But and we're going to talk about these games here in a second, and Coop's kind of in that same breath. But
yeah.
Anyway, what was your question? I'm just kidding.
Well, first of all, I mean, I want to make a point here. Then they also, too, one thing I think in-state fans forget too is that this is what Duden asked for. Duden wanted to be a starter. Like, he wanted the smoke, and he got it. And guess what? He stepped up. And then we did what any other baseball coach would do, which is, if you're hot, you keep being hot. I ain't gonna stop you from being hot. I mean, like, sure, ideally you want to pull the guy 2 pitches or 1 pitch before he gives up the home run, but it's you're never gonna know that. So then you're gonna go until you get to a point where you start to see the potential, and then you take him out. So, but it's then what Duden wanted. He wanted to be in that position, and it just happens. It happens. And I heard somebody else say that it was even a guy from FSU that threw 6 pitches this year and injured and knocked out for the season.
These kids are taking time bombs. Again, it's because of the culture of baseball. They play, even before they get to college, I was talking to Duden's dad yesterday. Like, Duden's been pitching since he was 8 years old. 15 years, or not 15, math's hard. I think he's 21 or 22. So it's like 13, 14 years, depending on where you're at. But that's a lot of wear and tear. Again, summer balls, fall balls, pitching in a bullpen. His mom mentioned, like, they were talking to someone, like, when you talk about like high stress moments, like, they count double, because when you're in high stress moments, you get more tensed up, and because of that, your motion is a little bit different. And they say those pitches count like 3-4 times per pitch. Like, it's just a lot of wear and tear. And again, it's just part of it's an occupational hazard, unfortunately. It's not a matter of if, it's just when. It just sucks that it doesn't happen after he gets drafted. That's probably the worst part of it all. But every year you're seeing Major League Baseball pitchers getting Tommy John. It's not like this is a new thing. It's not unique to NC State. But anyway, let's talk about the games. So, but really good point.
Well, and also too, kind of leading into it here, a question here, is, I mean, one of the big bright spots I felt like of the weekend was Heath Andrews, stepping
100%.
in to one
Into
of the
Duden's
toughest
spot.
spots. Well, exactly, one of the toughest spots that you can imagine, which is stepping in for a gunslinger like Jacob Duden. And he had a little bit of a struggle there earlier in the second inning, but then answered with 14 straight outs of just dominance from there, and got a lot of praise, from Elliot Avon after the game, who was really impressive with his fastball command. Heath Andrews kind of leads to a question, Greg, which I want to ask you, which I think a lot of NC State fans have right now, which is, do you think that this Duden news, could spark, some answers potentially from NC State bullpen that struggled already this season?
Yeah. I mean, to that point, you're going to need guys to step up like they haven't stepped up before. And again, at least for this weekend, you saw it with Heath Andrews. You mentioned he was a little shaky earlier. Gave up 4 earned runs, but it sure didn't feel like it once he settled in. The first 2 innings, gave up his runs, and then it was zeros from there on out. And he did give up. He did give up the one last run. I'm sorry. In the 6th, or excuse me, in the 7th, because he pitched 6 2/3. But all in all, I mean, just really, really good outing. He had 6 strikeouts. Just gave us an opportunity. Gave up 5 hits over 6 2/3. Really, really solid, because it was like, holy cow, like it's in the 7th and Andrews is still here and he's pretty much chilling. Really, really good him. And then of course, the one Saturday Duden doesn't pitch, we put up 18 runs. So any pitcher will love to go out and pitch that. And I think that helps. You can go out and pitch to contact. Let your defenders go out there and make plays behind you. You can pitch more freely. You don't have to go out and nibble around the plate and try to get guys to chase. Just go out and throw strikes, hammer the zone, and let your boys make plays. And I thought we did a really nice job this weekend. Again, for the most part, defensively. The one bad play in my mind was Coop throwing to second yesterday and having a wild throw that cost us a run, and potentially kind of just derailed us for a sweep. But other than that, Coop pitched his ass off too. Again, just no run support. But we'll circle back around to that, because we can talk about game 1 too. And then just Mikey Ryan, just having another great offensive weekend. He's a guy that's probably raised his average like 45 points in the last 3 weeks. It's been really good with the glove as well, after kind of just trying to figure things out. But go ahead and give me questions, give me thoughts. Wherever you want to go, we'll talk about it.
Well, first of all, want to give a shout out here as well. I mean, Coop, has led the team this season with 3 saves, and so let's start there, because he's a guy that I think a lot of NC State fans, and especially us here at Tuffy Talk, have said is a guy that's like, hey, let's. I think this guy has proved, that he's capable and ready to take on more responsibility here. So,
lots going to fall on his shoulders.
Yeah. So do you think so? Do you think a lot more will fall?
Well, I want to answer this as politically correct as I can, just because of the relationships I have. But
sure,
if it were me, yes, Coop has earned that right to start. But I also know that you've got only 3, other than Marone. So Marone's obviously locked into a starter. You've only got 3 other lefties on the staff. One's kind of one's a freshman, and Luke Hemrick, who's been really, really good, pitched really well last week against Wilmington, albeit in, I think, a predetermined only 2-inning appearance, because I think at that point the staff knew about Duden and kind of what they would need to rally around for the weekend. And I am curious to see how that approach continues this week, especially with ECU, an in-state rival, a game that in the grand scheme of things, that don't really mean a whole lot from a seeding in tournament piece, even though it's a nice little tick in the box. But I am curious to see how they approach the midweeks, especially now that Coop started on Sunday. I wouldn't expect to see him because last week in the midweek, you saw Hemrick, you saw Sam Harris, you saw Ryder. I'm pretty sure you saw Ryder, you saw Nance, and you saw Coop.
Mhm.
I feel like that's right. We might not have seen Ryder. I'm just trying to remember in my head, but
Mhm.
yeah. So I still think that that's going to be a TBD, and I think it's going to be like, how did the first two games go? Like, if you win the first two, you probably put Coop out there, right? If you've lost the series, then maybe you see like a Hemrick out there. Again, I think Hemrick has got a lot of good stuff. He's a freshman. Maybe again, a little less pressure on him to kind of bring him along as you continue to bring him along. Yeah, I still think that you could still see a pitcher by committee on Sundays, or excuse me, starter by committee on Sundays. But if it were me, I would run Coop out there. But again, they don't. I believe the staff doesn't feel like they have a lefty that they can feel 100% wholeheartedly on out of the bullpen.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, and I mean, because that to me is really the biggest thing, is really kind of, all right, like just like you said, Greg, like then everybody's going to have to step up here. Obviously Barone's done, I think, full his part, in the fact
Yeah, he's
that,
6-1. I mean, he's killing it.
He's 6-1, like pitching every single pitch he could possibly pitch. But you got the guys like Heath Andrews, I think, is going to take a big weight from this for sure. I think, like we said, Coop, you see some more out of here. Is there anybody else here that you think is maybe a little bit of kind of a potential of, seeing a big uptick now with the student news?
Yeah, I think
Outside of
Ryder. Yeah, I mean, Ryder took the loss yesterday, but he's been pitching really well of late. He just gave up a home run. It's
Yep.
baseball. It happens. I think you're going to see a Ryder Woodson. I'm not Ryder Woodson. My goodness, Ryder Garino. Luke Hemrick is a guy. Look, I still want to see more of Aiden Kitchens. He's been a guy that's been really good in his limited role. He's a guy that you could see an uptick in usage. Sam Harris is another guy. Like, you saw him like twice last week. He's kind of been a guy that's been buried. Another really good freshman. Again, you've got 3 freshman arms. I think you need Collins Black. He had a nice he did a nice job yesterday, kind of shutting down after Ryder had given up the go-ahead home run. I think he's a guy that we need to see, get in there. You lost an arm, so you need another arm to come back to kind of like spread the love and the wealth of the innings. But yeah, there's definitely an opportunity for folks to step up and kind of take some roles and run with them.
Yeah. No, exactly. Now, on the offensive side, so one thing about this series that I think
one
you saw.
second, real quick before you go there, I just wanted to mention.
Go ahead.
With Marone and Duden each missing a start. Now, obviously, Duden will miss more. They are in a 3-way tie for strikeouts in the ACC. Like, that's how dominant they've been. I think each with either 62 or 63 strikeouts, or maybe Duden has 63, Marone has 62. It's something like that. But it's like even missing last weekend, Duden was still ahead in the ACC in strikeouts. And that the staff as a whole leads the ACC in batting average against, I think at like 212, 213, something like that. So again, this pitching staff is doing their job. We just didn't get a little support with the bats yesterday after scoring like 23 runs in the first 2 games. Again, that's baseball.
Well, and again, that goes to the point where I was going, which is it's talking about the bats, how it's definitely been once again a little bit of a Jekyll and Hyde, which I think part of it a little bit has to do, Greg, is, I mean, yes, it's definitely baseball for sure, but there's definitely been a lot of movement still, even with the lineup. There's been some significant tweaks with Andrew Wiggins definitely popping off here recently. So kind of figuring out what do we do here with that DH spot.
That's really the big one.
Is it do you think it's going to be a little bit of just riding the hot hand, Greg, or do you think that it could be solidified here soon?
Yeah, you saw them kind of platooning that, especially mid-game with lefty righty, depending on who was on the mound. You would like someone to just take that and run with it. It feels like Wiggins could be that guy. He just seems to kind of be clutch with home runs lately. Like I think he's got 5 on the season, and he's not even qualified for to even be on the leaderboard within state because he doesn't have enough plate appearances. That's how good he's been.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have him. You have Bargo still kind of trying to work his way back through. You've got Novi has spent some time there. That's really the 3 that's probably gotten the most looks. Wyatt Pfeiffer has gotten a couple of looks here and there. But yeah, it feels like it's probably a 2-man race right now. And Wiggins is kind of the leader in the clubhouse, if you will.
Yeah. Well, and so, obviously this lineup has shown a lot of promise here. Obviously, McHugh is on a 7-game hitting streak. He's reached base safely, 18 straight games. Yeah, and Sherman Johnson, even though he's given us a little bit of not the complete strength on the defensive side, he's giving you a 351 batting average, 433 with runners in scoring position. Hit multiple home runs versus UNCW this past week, and then Ty Head, who already has 10 home runs this season, over doubling his freshman numbers there. Again, it's just there's, and the biggest one of them all, in my opinion, which is Johnson, who's been insane. And once again, I think it's just another letter on the cap for Avent of, man, like, you definitely hit the jackpot there for sure when it comes to getting that guy. Because he's a guy that I think any team in the country would love to have on their 1 through 9.
Yeah. A couple of things there to peel back. Ty Head is like one of only 20 players in the country with double-digit home runs and steals. So that's a cool little stat there. I think last time I saw he was sitting 17, 18 in the country for that stat. So that's pretty cool. Rhett Johnson, like you said, just a dude. I mean, his approach is so clean. Like, he's one of those old school players where he shortens up, gets a tighter stance, chokes up on the bat when he gets he has a really good 2-strike approach. He's someone that I really enjoy watching play both offensively and defensively. I really like, since they've gone Rhett Johnson, Luke Nixon 1-2. I felt like that's been a really nice combination there. Still trying to like McHugh sitting third. I like that. I would really like someone to figure out the 4 spot. I feel like that's a spot we keep kind of moving around. 4 through 6 kind of feels like we're moving around a lot. Maybe because Mikey Ryan's been really hot lately, maybe move him to the 4, but I feel like he's more relaxed down lower in the lineup. He doesn't feel as stressed and a need to be quote unquote productive or, kind of, what's the word? Press. He doesn't have to press.
Yeah.
I feel like Ty, once you dropped him down the lineup a little bit, he's been a little bit more relaxed. So I would love for someone to figure out that 4 spot. You've ran over the last 2 weeks. I think I've counted 5 or 6 different guys in the 4 hole. So that's, to me, the 2 biggest things. Still a lot of potential on this team. Again, we mentioned it already. You're kind of through the tougher part of the schedule, though you are going on the road now for the next 7 with a road game tomorrow at ECU and then at Wake and then another road. You're off, I think, in the midweek next week. There's no midweek, and then I think you have the Virginia Tech series, so that'll be your 7 in a row, and then you'll be back home for 2 of the last 3 weeks for ACC play.
Yeah. Now, one thing which I do, because I want to give a tip of the cap to an upcoming milestone here for Coach Avent here, but Greg, before I get there, just to kind of put a bow really on this, obviously NC State is about to go on a 7-game road trip here, going to ECU here tomorrow night, Tuesday night, and then playing at Wake Forest for 3 games, and then playing at Virginia Tech for 3 games here.
Yep.
What's your kind of expectation, your bar here for the 7-game stretch here?
Yeah, So Wake is an important. So we're real close. We're sitting sixth, but we're only like a game or two out for fourth, which is the double bye in the ACC tournament. Again, still a little early to talk about that, but you've got series now. You have one more series against a projected top 4 team, and that's North Carolina, and that'll end the season. But you got Wake Forest, who is below us in the standings by a game. You would hope to maybe go get. I think you can definitely win the next 2 series. Taking 2 of 3. Virginia Tech, even though it's on the road, it's not out of the question of a potential sweep. But at a minimum, you should be able to win that series. They're kind of a bottom dweller. If you go, 4-2, 5-1, something like that, you're setting yourself up not only for ACC play, but now you're starting to, position yourself for national or for seeding, for the regionals, and then also positioning your seeding for the ACC tournament. Again, I feel like if you can get a double bye, that means you only have to play 3. Basically, you're just playing a weekend series at that point. If you go all the way to the championship game, if you're having to do much more than that, you're going to have to kind of scrape together some pitching, and with the loss of Duden, that makes it a little bit more difficult. Not impossible, but just a little bit more difficult. So I think I would love 4-2, but anything over that, give me some cherries on top.
Yeah, good deal. Well, and any other kind of big points you want to make here on this baseball team here, Greg?
No, just like, again, just go out and keep doing your thing. Again, we already mentioned, like, Mikey Ryan has just been really, really good offensively after kind of being struggling a little bit. Again, new player, new system, new teammates. Holding the fort down at short, which is not easy to do in and of itself defensively. And so it's one of those positions where, it takes a lot out of you. So it's really been nice to see him step up. Again, you mentioned Ty Head's been really good of late. McHugh's been hot. Luke's been really hot. Brett's been hot. Again, just keep these bats going. I am, again, like I said, curious to how the pitching is going to look moving forward, especially in the midweeks. Like, how much of an emphasis do we put on that vice the ACC weekend series? But I'll be out at Wake this week, or down at at Wake this weekend. Then I'll be out in Blacksburg next weekend before we get a weekend off, because I will not be flying to Stanford. So
that's fair.
Yeah.
Good deal. But so Greg, our head skipper Elliot Avens, by my count, 7
right?
games.
Okay. Yeah.
From what?
1,100, I think, right?
7 wins away from 1,100 career wins, NC State, which would be the only active head coach to have that accomplishment of 1,100 wins at their current school. Again, man, like, I think there's never a bad time to really give a hat tip to head coach Elliot Avon here, a guy that, epitomizes what it means to be, part of NC State, a guy that loves NC State, as much, as any coach loves their school, and I don't think it's a matter of if, but when. I mean, they already have it as the Elliott Avon clubhouse, and rightfully so. I think that is the biggest layup of any move out there. But I mean, also too, it's only a matter of if, but it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. The statue goes up in front of the stadium here as well here. But
well, I think at a minimum, you see his number right next to Coach Esposito's. I think that's at a minimum that happens. Yeah. If we go win a natty, there's no doubt about a statue at that point. I'll raise the funds myself.
Heck give me AC title. Shoot, like, dude.
Yeah, I know.
Even give me an AC championship.
I know.
Let's get there. So yeah.
But last thing I want to say again about the cancer research. Really great weekend. Milo, I don't know if anyone saw that video, but little Milo's had cancer since he was 3 years old. He's 6, and he got to ring the bell out there, and that was, man, if you don't shed a tear, you ain't got a soul. That was definitely a tearjerker moment, but good to see little Milo being healthy, and I think just a really great event. Bunch of kids out there, I think battling some stuff, and the event may be over, but if it's in your means to drop a couple dollars to the V Foundation, again, Trey Turner and Kristen Turner have teamed up with them, and I think this was the third annual one, and I think it's just a really good event. And you saw the Duke players wearing yellow wristbands in support of it, and Duke's head coach out there taking pictures with some of the kids, and it's big. It's bigger than baseball, and then tomorrow will be the annual ALS strikeout for ALS game. ECU always participates in that since one of their coaches had gone through it as well. So again, another great event that just goes beyond Coach A event, right? It goes beyond the X's and O's and the wins on the field. There's bigger wins in life, and that's just one of the things that he gets behind. So not only a good coach, but a really good man as well.
Yeah. No, 100%, Greg. Love it. And if you definitely can, make sure to go and support Victory Over Cancer through the Jimmy V Foundation. And let's continue to make a difference here, especially being that it's NC State's own, that is what built this foundation. So make sure to go support here. But again, so love to see it, but also too, I mean, and more now that we got through the serious part, I did love in Game 3, Greg, the women's golf, hitting a ball over a home run. That was pretty funny. I love that. Love to see that, and even like seeing the Duke players, cheering, for it as well. That was cool. So
baseball players are big golfers too, so they can get behind that. They had they also had a putting contest with the baseball team versus the women's golf team. They had a short putt and a long putt. The baseball team won the short putt. Actually dropped one. I think dropped two in the hole, and then women got closest to the hole in that. But they did a nice job over the weekend with some promos. I got the rally towel behind me, so we got the new rally towel. They gave away Masters golf hats yesterday. I wasn't that pressed for it, so I did not worry about it. They only gave away 500. So I did not get one of those hats, but they look pretty cool. Really nice. They had some nice themes. The Friday night they had with the spacecraft coming back into land. They had a space theme night. I don't know if anyone saw Jacob Duden wearing the space frames. They were pretty cool. The space glasses. Yep. So they with the Artemis landing, they had like the background on the scoreboard looked like the moon, and then they showed the spacecraft landing in the water. So that was kind of a cool moment. And then of course the Masters theme on the scoreboard. They've done a really nice job this year with themes on the scoreboard. So I'll definitely give a little shout out to the game day ops folks for baseball. They've done a really nice job. Some pretty good giveaways and making things fun at the ballpark.
Yeah.
Oh, they got the new terrace open too. I don't know if you've seen that opened up last weekend.
That's cool.
It's kind of a cool view. I sat down in the field boxes again for the second time. Just kind of a cool way to sit. But again, it just like it's nice to watch a ball game from there, but I can't really be my rowdy self because it's just a different type of crowd. But it was nice to steal some shade down there because I think that is the one nice thing about that is you get some shade. But let's go get some big wins this week.
Yep. 100%. So Barry. So you asked a question here around some basketball here, which we'll talk about before we kind of recap a couple other things across in state athletics here. But ask the question of any chance we get the big from Georgia, from UGA here, a big rim protector. And saying if we're not pursuing any high profile players, why don't we throw a bag at McNeil or Apel or Colclough? And here's the thing: is I immediately say is, we just don't know what's going on, behind these closed doors, and especially in the transfer portal era where everything changes, not by the hour, not by the minute, but literally by the second. Things are changing at the speed of light right now. So I fully think that we are trying to offer a bag, honestly, at McNeil. I don't think that's really much of a speculation. I think that's like, there's no doubt, like, if you're talking to McNeil, you're knowing that it's going to cost you a few $1 million to get him here. I think that is 100% happening here.
Well, can I pause you for a second?
Go ahead, Greg, please.
Well, if anyone's going to try to land him, it's going to be our new GM, Patrick Stacey.
I saw that. I just saw that too.
Yeah, I just saw that too. I thought did I miss something on the Georgia big guy? I thought I saw he's going to Miami. Is that a
Again,
did that come across on our?
it changes 100 miles an hour over
Yeah,
here.
yeah. I thought I saw maybe he was going to Miami, but again, I could be 100% wrong there. Yeah. So again, to Barry's question, like you can throw a big bag at those guys, but do they want that big? Do they want your big bag, right? And so it takes two to tango. By all accounts, Justin Gainey has been talking to McNeil, Abel, and Clower. You know, are we gonna? God, I'm not even gonna use that stupid term, a strong ass offer. I didn't want to say that, but you know, like, are you going to make a, you know, again? And I said it earlier, like, if you really want a guy, you've got $9 to $12 million. Like, if you really want a guy, you go pay for that guy. But then if you pay for that guy, you're gonna have to, you know, make adjustments somewhere else. And again, even if you throw a big bag, do they want to be there? Because again, these teams, like these players, want to know kind of who they're going to play with, and you know, and you want to have, you know, be able to tell them, hey, like, this is what we're shooting for, this is what we're looking at, this is what we think your role is going to be. Like, is that what that player wants to hear? But then again, you know, everything changes once you get on campus, and I can use the baseball. Like, there's been players in the past that got promised roles in baseball, and they, you know, they didn't come to fruition for one reason or another, whether they got over recruited, they didn't develop the way the staff thought they were going to. So you can do all of that stuff, and who knows what's gonna play out from that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the example which I'll bring right to your attention, again, this is different coach, and we won't even say his name, but you know, one of the previous coaches, his biggest transfer portal get didn't happen until late in the transfer portal process.
Exactly right.
You know, he was one of the last guys that we got, actually. So
it was one of the better. Again, not saying this is how it played out, but the rankings showed him that he was one of the top portal targets. So, again, it's just about timing. We talked about it earlier, Barry. Like, how long are we going to wait for Paul McNeil to make a draft decision? Again, he's in the portal, so he's being courted by other teams as well as we speak. You know, is he going to say, hey, I need X amount of dollars? And will we have that kind of money to match it? Because depending on where we're at in our process of bringing guys in. So I like to take the approach, and I think, you know me, Leighton, that I enjoy following it. I don't get wrapped up in it too much. I don't get too high, too low. I don't really get excited until they sign their letter of intent and they're actually on campus. But it is fun watching it. But again, I trust the staff. Again, this is a new staff. We don't know kind of their tendencies and what they're looking for. Basically have to build a whole new roster. So you've got, you know, we don't know who's going to come back from last year's team. So it'll be, I mean, we haven't heard anything about Musa. We haven't heard anything. It sounded like Arsenault did go in the portal. Sounded like Breed went in the portal. So I don't really know if we really have anybody on the roster, if you will.
Yeah. Well, again, it's just time will tell, really. And I've definitely taken the stance, Greg, here for sure, of like, listen, just tell me when a guy commits, you know, but before then, like, it's so fluid. It's craziness. And but also too, again, it's just like, you know, like, like you could go the Louisville route where you just say, listen, I know who I want to build my team around. I'm going to go get those guys and pay an absurd amount of money to get them. And hey,
they have different pockets than we do, though. Like, that's always been Louisville. Louisville's always had deep pockets.
Well, because they've needed to be, because in order to compete with your in-state rival to Kentucky, you also have to have big pockets. But also too, I mean, like, at the end of the day, like, if you're not Louisville, you know, and there's not somebody out there that you know that you can hit right now, it's going to take really building pieces, you know, like you're not going to have that centerpiece more than likely that you're building around from the get-go. You're more likely going to have to build as you go here a little bit. So you take the archetype that Hammond gives you and you figure out, okay, what do I need to put around him to put together a successful team, you know? And like, if you get Boswell, And that's another piece that you got to figure out. Okay, how do I put Boswell and Hammond on this floor at the same time with other pieces to be successful? You got to build as you go a little bit here. So
yeah, I would say that was one thing that we didn't do really well last year with. I thought we didn't play Abel and McNeil at the same time enough. They are arguably your two best scorers next to Q. But speaking of Q and Lubin, they just both accepted invitations to the PIT, the Portsmouth Invitational Tournament, which I always, when I lived down in the area, I lived down in that area for 30 years. I always enjoyed going over to that. It's a lot different now because you don't have guys staying to their senior year. So it's not got the same kind of buzz that it used to, but back in its heyday, that was a pretty damn awesome. For anyone that doesn't know, that's kind of like, they do have the NBA Combine, but this is like a week tournament where local businesses sponsor these teams and these what are they? Not, gosh dang it, players, but what am I talking about? Draft prospects.
Prospects, yeah.
It's 10 o'clock at night and it's been a long day. But it's where these prospects kind of come in front of scouts and kind of play a tournament together and kind of see how they interact and play. And it's a really fun tournament. It used to be really cheap to go to. Again, I haven't been to it in years, but they literally play it in a high school gym in Portsmouth, Virginia. And it's just kind of a fun thing to go check out and get, meet people and get autographs. But again, I haven't been to it in forever. But so anyway, congrats to those two that accepted invitations. You know what it's kind of like now that I'm thinking about it? It's like the Shriners game or the East-West game. It's kind of like that. But it's like a 2 or 3 day tournament that they play a bunch of games and they have a champion and all that stuff. Crown
for sure.
Champion.
Yeah. So to wrap this thing up here, got to give a shout out to a couple of things. So first of all, it was announced after the winter sports were done, and State was ranked number 12 in the Directors Cup rankings, which is the 9th straight top 20 winter finish for NC State athletics, and it's also the 5th straight for Boo Corrigan, which if you haven't put two and two together, is every single year that he's been here. The winter sports have finished top 20 in the country. So to kind of give a little bit of context around that is obviously men's swimming and diving and women both finished top 10 nationally. Wrestling finished top 10 nationally. Women's basketball, indoor track, men's basketball also contributed to that as well. But I think the solidified consistency that you get with swimming and diving and wrestling alone has definitely a good bit to do with that. And again, the fact that men's basketball, women's basketball, definitely didn't meet your expectations of contribution to that ranking, it still says a lot that to an athletic standpoint that you were still able to finish number 12 in the country, in the winter rankings here. So huge hats off to the coaching staff for these teams, but also as well to Boo Corrigan, who definitely does not give the love and appreciation that he rightfully deserves. So huge shout out there to Boo. But also as well, I got to give a shout out. I know this is a sport in particular Carson wanted to get us to give a shout out to NC State softball getting its first ACC series sweep since 2023 here. It's definitely not one that's necessarily hot off the press. That hasn't been a phenomenal season so far, but it's a season of, again, you want to see significant strides this year. It's a team that didn't make the tournament last year. Right now they're sitting at 6-8 in the ACC. So can you get above 500 in ACC, which ACC is extremely loaded this year, as it always has been in recent years, and it will be for many years to come here. So can you get above 500 in the ACC? I think that is a very, okay, if you give me that,
the first goal. Yeah, that should be the first goal.
Like if you give me that, okay, I feel better about where we're heading, and again, as Coach Leftwich is only getting, more and more talented players that's coming to NC State, and so it's let's start to see kind of the fruit, the fruit of labor kind of thing. Like you're bringing in great players. Now let's, start to see some positive movement here, and definitely an ACC series sweep is something to hang your hat on here for sure.
Yeah. I think that, talking to Coach Leftwich earlier in the season, that's just, she's got goals, and just, it's going to take time. She basically had to burn the whole thing down and rebuild it. And it's just, it's not a thing that happens overnight. And I I hope that she still continues to get the support from the administration, that she can continue to build things. She's got a really good top draft class, or not draft class, top recruiting class coming in next year. One of the top in the ACC. If the class holds tight. So again, these are just players that are going to keep building and building and building, and you would think, based on the amount of talent and her skill sets, that she can put this thing together and get it moving down the tracks.
Yep. So with that being said, we'll answer Barry's last question here, and then we'll wrap it up here. But when will someone talk to Snell or some of this year's players about the locker room chemistry at the players caught wind that Wade was leaving in January? I mean, I know they asked Lubin about it specifically, of like, when did he know? And he said, I mean, they didn't what he said publicly was that he didn't have wins. Now, I have full confidence and faith for sure. They knew to an extent before the season was over. They caught wind of it. There was a catch of Wade making a comment to a referee saying, "Well, I'm not going to be here long. Give me, do whatever you want. I don't care. Like, I'm not going to be here long." So they had to catch wind at some point, but I just don't think you're ever going to really. It's just so much speculation.
It's water under the bridge at this point.
It's water under the bridge. Like, exactly. It's just like. It's whatever. But again, like whatever they're probably not going to say much publicly. And whenever down the road something does come out publicly about it, it's going to be absolute water in the bridge. And it's also who knows at this point and who cares?
Yeah, who knows? I mean, there's probably only a handful of people that really know what happened there.
What truly happened?
You can.
Remember, it was mischaracterized, Greg. Don't forget that. It was mischaracterized.
Yes. Well, we know he's sleeping well at night, so that's all that matters.
Exactly.
But look, at the end of the day, if it comes out, it comes out. I could care less.
It doesn't change anything for me.
I get why people want to know, just because they kind of want to. Exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say. Just kind of just give a karma thing, if you will, or just kind of prove how much of a sleaze, scummy, snaky kind of guy he is, his reputation. But I think it definitely took a hit just because of what the narrative was on the mainstream level. You saw people like Stephen A. Smith. You saw who's the old guy from Duke, that Jay Billis. You saw Seth Greenberg. Everybody. Everybody. No one really had a good thing to say about it. And again, at the end of the day, I get it. It's a business decision. Like, he can make those decisions. Was it sleazy and scummy? Yeah, absolutely. But we move on. I am. This isn't directed at Barry, but I'm over it. Like,
yeah.
Either you want to be here or get the hell out. That's kind of, and I'm with that with players, coaches, administration. Like, if you don't want to be here, that's fine. Like, go find your home. Go be happy. You only get one life. Like, go live it to your best ability. But you're not dragging me down.
Nope, exactly. I think we'll end it there on that. So with that being said, Wolfpack Nation, if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And if you enjoyed this conversation, do us a big favor. Hit that like button too, as well. As if either one of those buttons lit up for you, that means you need to hit it. So make sure to do that. But also too, as well, if you're listening to us on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to us, do us a big favor. Hit that 5-star review. We'd really greatly appreciate that as well. And give us a follow, Tuffy Talk now on Twitter. But with that being said, y'all, we appreciate y'all. We love y'all. And as always, y'all, go Pack, baby. Go.